News 13 is your local election headquarters, and News 13 is talking one-on-one with all of the gubernatorial candidates for South Carolina. So far, we've talked with Attorney General Alan Wilson and Low Country Attorney Mullins McLeod. And today, we have the current Lieutenant Governor of South Carolina in our studio, Pamela Evette. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, we sure appreciate it. And for folks who may not know about you, tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I've been Lieutenant Governor for 7 years, and prior to that, I was a business person. I started my own company. My husband and I, we grew it into a national company operating in 49 states. And so, that's what kind of pushed me into wanting to do what I do. When the governor called me and asked me to run with him, I'm the first lieutenant governor elected with a governor. I said yes, because I believed we need more business people involved, and that's what the governor said to me. He kind of won me over when I said, why me? And he said, because we need more business people, more people who have signed the front of the checks and not just the back, that understands how government should be run.
And you are talking about a lot of firsts here. You became the first female Republican lieutenant governor. What have you done since taking office as lieutenant governor that you think would make you qualified to be a good governor?
Well, first and foremost, I've been sitting at the right hand of the governor for 7 years. So getting to see exactly how everything is handled in government, because government should be run more like a business, but it has its nuances. And so it's good that like on day one, I could step right into the role and just keep the wheels on, keep the doors open, and kind of move forward. I've been really proud of what I've done with our youth workforce initiative. Because as we were skilling people up with our WIN scholarships, I was noticing a lot of our mom and pop businesses were struggling for a workforce, and that workforce was our youth, our high schoolers. And that's what I was hearing from businesses, big businesses like Boeing and Lockheed and BMW, kids coming out of college and even out of our technical schools without the skill set to actually show up for work on time and talk to clients. And so that's when I started our Youth Workforce Initiative, Empowering Tomorrow's Leaders, alongside our Department of Education and Workforce. We started a website. Small businesses can put their job offerings out there, and we're pushing our young people to go out there and take advantage of those jobs. And I'm encouraging parents. So if you're watching today and you're a parent and you have a high schooler sitting on the couch, get them online. Go to the Department of Employment and Workforce, look up our YES initiative, the Lieutenant Governor's YES initiative, and get them working. Our small businesses need them, and they need the skills that they're going to learn.
That's definitely true. We talk about big decisions, right? You made the big decision to run for governor. What was behind that?
So I'm very proud of the legacy that the governor and I have. We've given the largest state income tax cuts in our state's history. We've given the largest pay increases to our law enforcement, which is really important. We can't say thank you enough to our men and women who go out every day keeping us safe. We have continuously worked on economic development. We've passed the heartbeat bill. The governor flying up to make sure that we wouldn't use any taxpayer dollars when it came to funding clinics that perform abortions, fought that on his own along with our attorneys from the governor's office. We kept biological males out of women's sports. We've done the common sense, hard work in Columbia, working alongside the General Assembly, which has worked out well. Imagine that, functional government, getting things done for the constituents of the state. Because of all those things, I just thought it was time for me to throw my hat in the ring, keep that same conservative, common sense leadership pushing forward. Along with my business acumen, it just seemed to be a really good combination.
Definitely, and it keeps you busy nowadays.
It definitely does.
We've talked about several different topics with people, the gubernatorial candidates, and one of those is term limits. So where do you come down on term limits?
I came from the private sector. And so to me, I think, yes, I think people should serve. I think that's what our founding fathers wanted. Now, if you ask me what is the exact amount of time, I haven't dug deep enough to say what is the most beneficial. But I don't think it was ever intended to be something you made your lifelong career out of. And I think there's a lot of benefits from being in the private sector, being boots on the ground and seeing what's happening. It's the thing I love most about my job, actually, is for 7 years, I've traveled around the state. I've been in every big business, small business, talked with teachers, have talked with farmers, have done roundtables with our farmers and our forestry community, hearing what people want And when you can get down to the level of the people and understand what they're going through on a day in and day out basis, then I think you can be a really good, effective leader.
And talking about some of those people, some of those business owners, let's talk about tariffs. Where do you come down on the Trump administration's decisions on tariffs and the trickle-down impact that they have?
So, President Trump, obviously, I'm a huge supporter of the president in this gubernatorial race. I'm the only one that has stood with the president in January of 23 when he came to South Carolina looking for friends and allies, because I believed that he never needed that job, but that job needed him. And what President Trump has done is he has stood up for American industry and the American worker. And he did it in a really common sense, easy to understand way. He stood up there and showed a chart of how other countries were taking advantage of American companies and American workers and how that was hurting us. And so you can see these great deals that have come down, making it fairer for us to compete on the global front. And, it took a long time to get here. And of course, it was going to be a bit painful dialing back. But from what I hear from most employers, they just wanted to see it done because it was never going to get easier the longer you kick that can down the road. And that's not who President Trump is. He's not a kick your can down the road kind of president. He's a businessman. And I appreciate what he's done for our country.
And another big topic is, of course, immigration. When it comes to immigration, we have a large percentage of visa workers here at the beach who work seasonally, and in South Carolina, there are some portions of workers who are not here legally. And if we deport all of them, will there be enough workers to cover the jobs that are out there?
President Trump won overwhelmingly by running on the fact that he was going to keep our borders safe and he was going to get rid of dangerous illegal immigrants. And that's what we've seen him do. And we've seen the effects of that, right? Human trafficking, drug trafficking, all the things that came with that open border. And that's what he is focused on, getting them gone and out of our country. We always have to remember that this country is a country founded on rules and laws. And when people came across that border, they knew they were breaking the law, full stop. They knew it. And so I stand with the president on what he's doing. Again, he's a businessman. And we will see this evolve, but I, for one, am happy he's getting rid of dangerous criminals out of this country. And I think the American public is too, because he won every swing state, he won the electoral vote, he won the popular vote, and it was all based on his promise of keeping us safe.
And finally, Lieutenant Governor, when it comes to you possibly having the top spot in the state, what separates you from the other candidates in this field?
Well, that's a great question, and I get it an awful lot. So I always say there's three things, right? First and foremost, I've been in the role, sitting at the right hand of the governor for 7 years. I'm the only one that has started a successful business and grown it into a national company, so I understand what it takes to get the business done. Secondly, I stood with the president. I think loyalty matters, and loyalty matters to voters. Like I mentioned earlier, in January of 23, President Trump came to South Carolina looking for friends and allies. And nobody showed up that is now running to be governor of the state of South Carolina except for me. And I did it because I believe in loyalty. And I believed he'd be the right man for the job. And the last and probably the biggest reason, I think we should look at who has the resume to do the job. If you were hiring the CEO of your company, if you were hiring somebody to be the CEO of your home, who would you want? Do you want somebody who's already done it and who has been doing it and who's grown a successful company? Because the governor puts together an executive budget of $15+ billion every single year. Who do you want to do that? Somebody that knows how to do the job or a career politician? And I think that probably becomes the most compelling argument, and I have is, look at all of our resumes. If you wouldn't hire somebody to be the CEO of your home or your company, you probably don't want to hire him to be the CEO of your state.
All right, well said. Thank you so much for being here today, Lieutenant Governor Pamela Evette.
Thank you.
All right. And Pamela Evette is seeking the Republican nomination for governor alongside 5 other candidates. That includes State Senator Josh Kimbrell, as well as U.S. Representatives Nancy Mace and Ralph Norman and Attorney General Alan Wilson. Her challengers on the Democratic side are Low Country Attorney Mullins McLeod and Dr. Jermaine Johnson. And you can find all of our continuing political coverage on our website, WBTW.com.